Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm going to share with you a clip from a recent live event for my members only. And in this one we talked about the new promo card, the Life/Death Legendary Archer. I think this card's really great, and I hear you guys saying that it's way too expensive. I want to talk about the price point. I want to talk about its usefulness. I want to talk about even the artwork and everything with JimMorgan and HL49. And I hope you'll stick around for this one. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel1258, and you can call me 12. And we cover Splinterlands here all day, every day. If that sounds good, like and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, I got to say hi to Mario. I love that. No Dwayne, no gain. I appreciate that, pal. And I definitely want to spend some time talking about this new promo card because I haven't yet. And I actually think there's like an interesting conversation, not even so much, yes, of course, like the question is like, is it good? Is it bad? But the price point to me just seems to be the more interesting conversation and the community attitude around it. So
yeah, 100%.
I feel like that's the angle here. I want to pull it up. It's probably under eye candy or maybe
It's under announcements.
Okay. Official announcements. There we go. I wish I know that they did they don't show the stats here, do they? Oh, they're good. Okay, here we go. So during the town hall, I was listening to the whole thing live, and I thought it was a really great town hall. There's a ton of interesting things in this one, including a new promo card, which to me seems, I mean, I love the art style for one, and the lore. I love it when lore makes sense. And Jim, you'll probably appreciate this from the, even from the tabletop background, like, or D&D. Like it matters to me when that lore just not be, for instance, in the past, we've seen some Splinterlands cards where the character is drawn carrying a bow and then they do melee damage. And it's like stuff like that to me grinds my gears. It's like there was an oversight, a disconnect. And then for the first ever card to have two different splinters available to it, for it to be both, heaven and hell, life and death, like it feels so thematically appropriate.
Damn.
What do you think?
Wayne's about to get sued from Ronnie James Dio, Heaven and Hell.
What do you think of that, boys? First of all, just talk card art, talk, thematically, like what are your initial thoughts on even just the card superficially?
The card's kind of gorgeous, I ain't gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were talking about, when you see a bow and it does melee damage, dude, when I saw Tarsa give plus melee and HP, do you know how upset I was?
Mm-hmm.
It makes zero sense.
Let me pull up Tarsa because I actually, okay, yeah, she's totally a magicer, isn't she?
That's 100% magic. What else would that be?
Yeah,
Apparently melee and HP.
Yeah, no, it happens, and it happened more often in the old days than it does maybe now, probably. In fact, I think I've heard them like put a certain card on hold. Sloan is maybe a little bit of that too. Like she looks like she's a caster, doesn't she?
Where's
General Sloan?
I don't know. I don't get it.
She's like holding a book of like a tome of magic and conjuring. Like, yeah. But I guess from the D&D perspective, even you can acknowledge and appreciate that. I know you can essentially lure your way into, or like, tell a story of, I'm magically imbuing this archery buff. But regardless, my point is still, I feel strongly about that. Like, and I feel though that new card, does a good job of honoring, you know what I mean? Like theme and incorporating life and death together. HL, what do you think about the new one? Like just thematically.
The art is amazing.
Yeah.
I really love the art. The abilities are kinda good, but it's too expensive in my standpoint.
Yeah, I think for what it is, it's way too expensive.
Yeah.
Like when this thing gets to the front line, when it's gonna matter a lot, its life leech plus the damage output is no longer happening.
Yeah.
Which, yes, that's a big problem for range, but I really don't like range units with life leech. I think it's like the worst thing you can have.
Twitch? I hope you do.
Yeah, what was that, HL?
Does it? Oh. Sorry, the Twitch has some problems. I don't know what's.
Okay.
They have no audio. I'm currently, so I'm sorry to disrupt you guys.
It's all good, brother. With Zyriel, I guess is how I'm going to say it. I hear you, Jim, about the life leech. You like, if you're going to give life leech to a character, you got to admit that archery is probably the worst partnership from a damage output for that. But I do think, there's rule sets where archery close range is now just a rule set, and she's obviously gonna thrive in that rule set. And then also, she's doing so much damage at 5 output, the highest levels, that she really is gonna start stacking massive hearts. If you're playing like a Noxious Fumes rule set, this thing is gonna out survive the poison as long as it doesn't, like you say, fall into that first position. And then, yeah, I mean, the kit seems nice. Like, I like the main criticism I would levy from a utility standpoint is that speed. But can you expect everything? I mean, the thing has 2 splinters, 5 damage, 5 hit points, divine shield. The rust is helpful because of the archery. The life leech is going to add up significantly, 3 hit points every single turn. The weapons trainer is going to, improve a lot of other monsters. I've seen other people cover this one. I don't usually watch other people's content on a new card until I've thought it through. This time is different. I watched pretty well everybody, I think. Couple things that strike me as important, like criticisms maybe, is that the weapons trainer has been kind of a lackluster ability, hasn't it? Like, what do you guys think about weapons trainer generally? And then if you want to speak to it, more specifically within the context of this card with these stats. But I don't know, is anybody really running weapons trainer in a powerful, like, meta way right now? HL,
yeah.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah, I'm using it. I am. So basically, I'm using weapons training with a pretty nasty combination. Okay. So I am having my what's it called? I'm not sure about the name right now. The legendary from the blue team.
Okay.
Bakjira.
Yeah, Bakjira, and then the weapons training right after it.
Yeah.
Weapons training monster. So Bakjira level 4 with the 16 hit points.
Yeah.
And I have the weapons training monster with the opportunity ability.
So you're putting melee damage onto your Bakjira.
Yeah, and then next to it, I'm putting a deep lurker with also opportunity.
So you have a Kulu Mastermind. What level is your Kulu? Do you know?
I think it's level 2 or level 3. I also have the shield ability.
So you got at least level 2. So if you're at level 2, you're doing 4 damage with the Kulu, which means you're, I think, I don't know, weapons training perfect? Half of?
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at 5, it's then 3.
So that level 3 is going to be really key to your strategy. Okay, so, and you say you're doing it. Are you finding a high level of success with that? Do you know are you tracking any data around that or anything?
No, I just found the battles, and every time the bot also played the strategy. That's where I have it from.
Yeah.
So I experimented with Kulu. I played it stupidly, and the bot played it way better with me because I came across the first 3 cards, and then probably at the bottom 3 it likes to play the epic wave brood. Mm-hmm. It likes to play the Murdeli Guardian with the heal and the what's it called? I'm not sure. Heal and the repair and the strengthen.
Isn't that
3 amazing abilities?
I think it's like the Murdeli. Isn't that the Murdeli Guardian?
Yeah, it's the Murdeli Guardian.
Yeah. Okay.
Amazing card to own. Really great card. And then maybe the Swamp Spitter in the bag with another shield or something, and everything with a Kalia or with Lux. Mm-hmm. So this is really, maybe I can even, let me quickly look through the battles and see if I have one for you.
If you do, drop it in the Discord and I'll pull it up. I'd love to see it. One thing I'm noticing about your comment though is that you're referencing the Kulu Mastermind, which in my opinion might be it might be the best of the weapons trainers because it offers melee, and there are other ones that offer magic, and that'd be great too, because like Jim pointed out earlier, the archery, when it slips into the first spot, is not going to be helpful unless it's got that close range, and that's going to be rare and rule specific because you can't partner it with a summoner that has that close range ability. So I feel like Kulu Mastermind, I've kind of said good things about the Kulu Mastermind from the reward of the new legendaries and the soulbound rewards. I also think some of the ones that are magic weapons trainers are great too for the same reason, but the weapon trainers that have magic damage output are generally speaking lower damage output. I think they cap at 3. And the Kulu has the 5 bomb, which, man, if you can throw a 3 damage output on your Bach Zyriel like you're describing, you know, that gets pretty juicy. Like you said, a 16 hit point, self-healing, you know, slowing your opponent, strengthen. That thing's a beast. And to slap 3 extra damage on there, that really does make sense to me. Jim, any thoughts on weapons trainer as like just a new ability to the game? And are you in any element, whether it's Kulu or magic or specifically this new one with the archery?
Yeah, in theory, I love it. Being able to power up your minions that normally don't attack, having the melee on Bach Zyriel is really good. Be able to bring in, you know, one of the casters that you have, put it on a backline monster who can't attack, and then that way when they still get to the front, they're able to attack. You know, you have that versatility. Being able to double stack abilities as well.
Yep.
Sure, if they're first or last, you can't, but
yeah,
you know, there's ways to play around it.
I definitely love that.
In theory, I love the weapons trainer idea.
Yeah.
It's just not all of them are good.
Yeah.
You know, like you were talking about with the Kulu, that one's really good because he can attack from that second position. And even if he couldn't, right? If say you play the Possibilis, he now has reach and now he's able to attack from the second position. But you don't even need that card, so he's even better than it. All the magic ones I instantly like as well. And as long as you're able to attack, there's that red guy there's that creature with weapons training in red who also has reach, Phyrexian hero. And that guy's another really powerful one since he's able to reach over that first spot and still continuously be able to attack.
Yeah. For the same reasons
Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, not all of them are great. And I think range kind of lacks because if it's ever a close fight, once you get to the front, you're just SOL.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you guys. What I'm noticing about what you're both saying though is that you really like this card. You like the kit. You like, you know, obviously the damage. You know, I think the only thing someone could say about the abilities and whatnot that you don't like is that 2 speed. You'd almost prefer a 1, and then you're going to win those slow matches, or you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then what would be not to love. Because even the weapons trainer, which to me is a bit of a question mark on, I'm not using it very much, and I can see how it's powerful in certain contexts, but it's maybe a question mark. It feels like we're saying we like the stats. I'm not hearing any substantive criticism against it. I heard you both say, you know, too much money, not gonna buy it, not for me. Or actually, Jim, you didn't comment on that. Like, how are you feeling about this?
I wasn't gonna buy it. You know, it is a lot of money, and to have a maxed out copy, did someone do the math? I remember it being like a ridiculous amount. I just don't remember the actual number.
The cost, when you use the vouchers, there's 160 vouchers required to like per copy, and then they're giving you 25 cents on each of those vouchers, and the vouchers are currently like 12 cents ish. And then your DEC is at a discount too. So you're in the neighborhood of $50 a BCX. So you're talking roughly $5.50 for a max copy of this thing.
Oh, okay. All right. I actually thought it was higher. So, but $5.50 is, you know, still a good chunk. But to have it for 2 colors,
and you guys, the there's a few people out there. I want to see what you guys think about this. Are you buying for $55? To me, what I'm seeing is like a really strong card. And then, yes, I share your criticisms around like, okay, archery is not the optimal choice for a weapons trainer. But I mean, again, what weaknesses does this thing have apart from the perhaps? Oh, great. Hang on a second, guys. I gotta close my door.
Hello. So basically, there's only 2 of us left.
What what really does this thing not have apart from perhaps the weapons trainer is not optimized, and then the speed is at 2 is not your favorite. I mean, it's got 2 friggin' splinters. The thing is amazing. And then I think when we start talking about if you were gonna go buy today a legendary for the life or the death team, I haven't looked at this yet, but I'm gonna assume that you're talking about. Oh man, I think that this is gonna be. This is 2 cards in one, so that's got to change the conversation, and I'm not sure people are giving it that credit. So
let's essentially cut the price in half.
I think so.
Yeah.
I
Basically, just look at Ashur and look at Dr. Blight right now for the price point. And then, hence, we know Dr. Blight is one of the best cards currently in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have other cards like Ashur, who is also a pretty strong card. It came off pretty cheap with $25 per BCX, and now it's about 45. And presumably this new card will be weaker than those 2 because you can play personally Dr. Blight in nearly every battle. And only this one with the archery, with the life and death team. Admitting that it also costs a big price point to use, it probably is better to not buy it right away. Like, I would definitely go, if I buy a promo card right now, I would go for a Blight or an Ashur before I will go with a new card that I don't even know what to do, because I think it will go somewhere in between those price points. But if we take a look at Waka is, for example, like a failed promo card.
Mm-hmm. Waka's a different conversation. I've said this before. I almost want a Waka at this price point, but I hear you. But I think this is interesting. I think you're making some interesting points. If we imagine, though, to your point that these as promo cards represent some sort of fair consideration for value on a new promo card like this one, and then you add that it covers 2 splinters. So in my opinion, you're gonna, like, if you play life and death, you want another archer for both of those teams. And so it should be in your mind as if it's a new card for both of those. Maybe it's not exactly like buy 1 get 2, you know what I mean? Because in some sense a neutral is in that way like buy 1 get 6. So but it's more than just that 1 splinter, and I think that matters from the price point perspective. I also think it matters from the collectability standpoint. I think there's a good amount of our audience that love collecting cards that are both rare and then secondly that are different. And I think you have a collector that wants all the extra utility, and then you have a collector that like is interested in price appreciation. And I think lastly, somebody wants to have all the things. I know a guy on TNA who is like always striving to get every card that comes. And I don't know, man. I think it's better than most people seem to be giving it credit for. And I think that price point, maybe $55 is a bit high, but like they said in the town hall, and I think this is a great point. If they don't sell for that price, then it becomes even more rare. And so for me, I really, really want to get a max level copy of this thing. And I actually want some extra copies just to hold on to from a speculation perspective, because like I said, it's like the first of its kind. That creates a collectability, desirability side. Plus I think it's pretty solid, and it's versatile. And I think as a promo card, legendary, it's going to be expensive naturally, even if you want to say it's worse than Ashur Constantia or it's worse than Dr. Blight. I mean, I don't know if I agree with you. I think it's got an interesting kit of its own, but maybe I agree with that. but still,
Whoa.
like,
You don't think the card's worse than Dr. Blight?
yeah,
I think there's a lot of cards worse than Dr. Blight.
I think Dr. Blight is amazing, exceptional. I think sure Constantia is exceptional. I think this new card is, I mean, you haven't played with it yet, but it strikes me as really powerful. And so, you know, even if I wanted to concede that these price points might be representative of like where the price should go for this new card, doesn't that mean, you know, I can't, like, somebody's going to buy it at 56 and then they're going to sell it for 30? I kind of doubt it, man. Plus, I think there's so many people complaining it's too expensive that the sales would just never not happen. Only the people who really, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there'll end up being a really small supply, which then is going to inform the price. I don't actually think $56, which is like, let's say $55 is the current price based on DEC discount and SPS discount. I think we might see it go lower than that when it reaches the market, because people are earning vouchers for free. And so in some sense, you can imagine a person buying this thing just to spend some of their vouchers and not almost considering that part of their payout. And in that way, I could see it getting, you know, a little cheaper than the purchase price. But I feel as though this thing really is going to be firm and a long-term strong investment, because I don't think enough of them are going to be printed. Maybe I'd love to hear, let's talk about that. If we don't like the price point, and if we think people don't love the card, there's going to be next to no copies. HL, like, if there's no copies printed, this thing's going up in value. Wouldn't you say from an investment standpoint that it becomes an interesting card, at least? Even if we don't maybe love it for the $50 price point? What do you think about that side of it? Oh, did I lose you?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, now I do.
Okay. From an investment standpoint, it's kind of interesting to see, because you always, don't forget, there's always hype in the beginning. Sea Land, I think in Epic Land on the first day was about $8,000, $1,000, and now it's about $250 or something. So prices naturally come down, and if people realize that this card is actually good, that it is, it will then strive up a little bit. But first there will be a big fall, because a lot of people expected more that they got. I think what they forget to see is that death and life are more colors that you want to use in poison rule sets and in utility based, where you just want to outsustain your opponent. Because think about all of the immunity monsters in the poise with both teams actually, and a lot of life leech monsters we have there too, and healing and resurrect. So basically it would all fit the niche of that card. But it still takes, I think it takes a little bit of time to appreciate the card. And also at first everybody wants to probably dump it because they see the price going lower and they think, oh no, it's not that good as expected, or it's something in between probably. And Hands of Retribution, I don't know how many will go out. We can only look at the details then for Dr. Blight and Assure to see the difference, because I don't even know how many of those are out currently. And
let's look at that in a minute. But Jim, look at these partners that like can come alongside this thing, because we're talking life, death, dragon, and neutral. I mean, there's
a look at just what's in standard. Modern.
Okay. So this is just modern. And I mean, man, look at these, like, okay, if you want to just isolate, it might be unfair to think, okay, you can't do Riftwing with Reliquary Conjurer. But I mean, man, some serious low mana tanks that are going to really, that are already strong, that are going to really benefit from this thing, don't you think? Tell me about this side of it.
Yeah, I was looking at what were the cards that you could match up with it. And I was also just looking at the Chaos Legion cards. Also, it doesn't even show you the Soulbound cards.
That's true.
Here. So there are a couple more that you can utilize. And so going forward, right, like Chaos Legion going forward has kind of always been where my brain is when evaluating a new card. And we don't really... There's not a lot of amazing targets for it, and a lot of the targets for it you want to have in the front line, you know? Like, even though you see that will-o-wisp right there, the flying, 4 speed, a lot of HP, and then you're going to give it ranged attack, and it does not what you want it to do.
Yeah.
So, like, it is difficult. And the other thing I thought about was, with it always having that 2 speed, it makes it to where you now have to work even harder to gain speed control for it. Because if you don't have speed control, now you have that likelihood of missing out on all of your damage. Mm-hmm. And then now you're not even gaining any value from that life leech.
Mm-hmm.
I think a possibility to play this card would be in a poison rule set where you put in, for example, the Hawklaw Revealer, this new card, give an Meteor, give an Riftwing to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be could really utilize this card, and maybe some frontline, and then the legendary summoner that gives you 1 rebuff to double Meteor the Riftwing and double Meteor the other card. Mm-hmm. A new promo card. That could be a possibility, because now you have the speed control of 4. You're gonna get a life leech with 7. I think it's also 4. Don't mark me on my words, but I think so.
Yeah.
And that would probably utilize this card, but it would be only very situational.
Yeah,
if you want to use it with Riftwing and something like that.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think every single card has a place for it, unless you're Dwayne and like you absolutely hate the rusty android. But I think every card obviously has a place. But when we're talking about pretty much the rule, or when you're talking about the exception to the rule, yeah, you can make anything work. But now we have to talk about the rule, right? It's like, how can we evaluate this card on when there's no specific rule sets? Like, how can we utilize this thing the most overall and, majority of the games? And can we? I don't know. I really don't know.
I think at 7 mana, man, this is like a very affordable card for what it offers. I think there's so many benefits to this thing. I think I keep hearing, like, the criticism, yes, the speed is a problem. You need to bring some manipulation for that purposes. I think you'd want to have probably level 4. Level 3 looks pretty solid too, but you lose that 1 more damage output, which impacts the power of the weapons train. So, I mean, this card to me does look good at low levels. I do think it's obviously even better at higher levels. I think the really only question is, like, what do we think about the price? And I think I'm hearing people feel it's too high. But I heard HL, you talked about how people are gonna like sell it. They're gonna kind of panic. I don't really buy that. Like, I think people who are gonna buy this are gonna be the sort of people who have money in their pocket and are prepared to spend $50, $60 per BCX on a brand new one-of-a-kind card in Splinterlands, and they want to have their collection. And I think if that's the only audience buying this thing, then I think long-term the price has to go up, because there's not even close to enough BCX. Because there's not going to be people that are like, you know what, I want to spend $150 to get level 2, and I kind of don't like it. Like, they know what they think about it. And they're either totally on board, because you're right, it is a big price point. Like, for $50, we mentioned we could get Dr. Blay, we could get Osher Constantia. Like, this isn't probably not in that class, but I think because of what it is in the collector side, I think ultimately this ends up being, in my opinion, this is probably a smart investment, and I think it's a cool card. But not everybody's got $500 to spend on an investment within Splinterlands. And if you did, I heard, this was a cool quote from, who was this? It was, oh man, I'm forgetting right now. Hawks said on his channel the other day, he's like, just the other day he bought like a $200 Almo Cambio. And it's like, $500 on this thing, there's other things to buy. So that's the problem. You can't afford everything. I don't know. I think maybe one last point I want to make, and maybe hear your guys' thoughts on it, is one of the things that strikes me is that there's a lot of salt over this thing. And it's like, I heard complaints that it's too expensive. And I think to myself, well, 1, Splinterlands makes the assets. They price them however they see fit. 2, it's a free market. If you don't want it, you don't buy it. 3, if everyone agrees with you, like actually 3, people concerned, they're concerned they quote unquote have to buy it because they can't compete if they don't. But here's the problem: if everyone agrees it's too expensive, then quote unquote, then allegedly no one's gonna buy it, which means you don't have to buy it because no one else did either. But I think in truth, what it ends up being is, this is my conclusion. People are complaining that it's expensive because they actually want it, and they wish it was really, really inexpensive and yet somehow super rare. And I think this sort of combination of expectation upon a company that is intending to make profit, and we should want them to make profit, it just doesn't hold water. Like they're a business, they're not giving away things, and frankly, if we don't want it, we don't have to buy it. That's been my reaction as I read comments, as I see videos talking about how expensive it is, and the Discord was like, this is ridiculous, it's for whales. I mean, guys, if you don't want it, you don't have to buy it. And that's kind of the beauty, because it means, like Agro had mentioned, it probably means that fewer will be sold. If you guys are right, it's too, quote unquote, too expensive. And that will mean better price appreciation for those who do. What do you guys think about just the salt side of this conversation?
I love the saltiness.
Yep. Extra salt. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I think it can either go two ways. One where this card gets hyped up to the moon like Waka and then drop like nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Where we now have a total of 534 BCX, with 500 being normal and 34 gold, and it still costs $400 to get a max copy, which is not a lot for a really exclusive promo summoner. Or this card, it obviously can be pretty good. It may take a while, like Oshur also took a while to people get acknowledged until it was pretty popular and know it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So it will probably take a while until this card gets good, but in the first short term, it will probably fall in price. That's my point of view. It always have been, except some cards I remember were, for example, the Ilfane, and the other one has been Core Lurker. Those two were in the beginning stage where Rift Watchers launched. Ilfane was about 5 PCX for 1 day or something, and Core Lurker was for about 15 to 20 per PCX.
Okay. I just ended the poll. I couldn't quite see the yes, but I saw there was 83% no from the guys hanging out here today. And I mean, I get it. It's expensive. But I don't know, man. I think one day that $55 is going to be a small number because of what this is and the first of its kind and all that side of it. Now, will it go shorter in the long, and like, will it go less expensive in the short term? It's an interesting conversation. I'm not convinced someone's going to spend $50 on it and then immediately sell it for 30. But you know, you might, if you're looking for a deal on this card. One last thought I think is, try to imagine what sort of discounts are available to the buyer of this card using fresh money to buy DEC, and using 12-cent vouchers and getting that 25, right? So they're going to be able to, you can calculate like, okay, $40 worth of DEC, bought at 800 Splintoshis, translates to, I think it's a $10 discount. Maybe it's like a $12, something like a $10 discount on the DEC if you bought fresh DEC. And then if you buy fresh vouchers, 160 of them, let's say you get the 12 cents, and you're getting double value. Well, that's like a $20 discount on your from your vouchers. So someone's probably, unless you got free vouchers, and then you might say there's a quote unquote $40 discount. So you might say that I think an absolute floor to me in the short term for this thing would be 30. If the buyers of it end up hating it, and I kind of think that's unlikely. But I say that based on the discounts that are potentially available to the buyers. And so I would really not expect it to go lower than that. And I, in fact, expect it to probably in the very near future be a more expensive card. But let's check in with the chat. Oh, guys, I'm sorry for the rumble. I got the Morenos are happening, and I didn't know they were going today. Eli said it's way out of his price point. Definitely Pretty interested to see how it performs. Geeked Out Basketball. I was hoping for the first multi-elemental card would be a summoner. I think we will see those
They
summoners.
couldn't make it a summoner.
No.
I don't think they could. No.
Yeah.
That's something you have to drop all at the same time.
I think we will get that though. Jim, you think we are going to get multicolor summoners at some point, don't you think?
Oh yeah, they already said that they were working on it. A few town halls ago, they even showed what the borders were going to be like, or the frames.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I missed that. Yeah.
And then let's see what here. 2-speed biggest issue. Yeah, yikes. Weapon trainer gives 3 to the range to the neighbors. It's true as long as you're at the higher level, Paul. Because if you're at the lower level, you're getting a 4 turning into a 2 to your neighbors.
You play Salone, still turns it into 5.
That's right. Yeah. What would that do for the secondary? So that you'd be a 6 on your main, and I think you're still giving a 3.
Still goes to 3, yeah. Because I want to say the Salone kicks in before the weapon training.
That would be interesting. Hey, Bobby, go. That would be interesting to think through. Like if there was ever a card that was a bit of like a shapeshifter. Like imagine a werewolf that has 2 kind of contexts. It's like human form, and it has maybe, I don't know, like a spell cast element, magic damage output, and then it has like an alternate form that like is maybe melee focused, and it could be both earth and fire. And
dude, you could actually do that. They would set it up to where when it's like an even turn,
yeah,
it would be a werewolf, or odd it would be a werewolf, and then even it would be human. And then you could change its damage output.
Yeah.
And then when it's a werewolf, give it sneak and melee.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Really do that.
I think we just created a new card, a new promo card.
We created a monster.
Bobby loves weapons training. I still haven't really messed with it. Geeked Out Basketball Weapons Trainer Possibilis with the Demon Shark Bakjira, Mastermind, and Deep Lurker. Oh yeah, so Possibilis would give you the reach on your Bakjira, and then you would have the Retaliate and the Enrage on your Demon Shark in the first position, and your Mastermind's giving that melee buff to your Bakjira, just like you said, HL. And then you got your Mastermind and your Deep Lurker for the double opportunity. That does sound like a good team.